I have Sajjid Mitha with me, my dear friend, to read Aquarius Man. Thank you, Sajid, for taking time out and doing this with us.
Thank you for the opportunity, Chetan. This was great. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you. I know you have read the book once before when it was released, and then again you've done your homework before coming here. But reading out loud must have been a different experience and fun.
Completely different. I've never done this before, and I really enjoyed it. I'm not sure whether I did a great job reading it, but I tried. It came very naturally. I think I reacted in certain points because not all of it is what represents what I am as an Aquarian man, but I'm certain that in your experiences with other Aquarian men, you've had run-ins with all kinds of them, and this is where the book has come from. But certainly I don't see myself in many parts of it, which I'll share with you.
Tell me what are those parts? Give me the highlights.
Well, interestingly, I find that some of your observations are based, of course. I find myself, before I met Lavina, my wife, I was an Aquarian man in some sense of the word in what you put down in your book. But once I met her, I feel that for me it's important to have my wife work rather than be a homemaker. I think there's immense trust and a commitment from my side. I think there was a funny part where you mentioned about don't expect your man to carry your shopping bags, but that's something I insist I do. When we travel, I don't like her reaching out for anything heavy, and especially when we go shopping and she picks up the bags, I immediately reach out for it, and she says, I'm embarrassed, please don't carry it, because when we get out, you've got everything in your hand. But I do that. I'm a very committed Aquarian man, and I've met a couple of other Aquarian men who are very similar to me. We dedicate our lives to the woman we love.
Oh, that's awesome. So you're a die-hard romantic,
yeah? Die-hard romantic. And there's another thing where you said, don't expect poems. I write poems to her all the time.
Oh, nice.
All the time, yeah.
So we now have a third kind of an Aquarius man. I have the passive, aggressive, and the romantic.
I agree.
Any other point that you thought really, whether you agreed with, and now you've been critical about what you did not agree with, but because it's not your biography, I understand that. But anything that you agreed with, like this is spot on, bang on. This is what I thought. You got me kind of stuff.
No, I think what I liked is that you've given, you've split it right down the middle, saying that there is an aggressive and a passive. And I find myself in many ways to be the passive guy, in many, many ways. So I agreed with a lot of what you said. And as I said, I even agreed with a lot of what you said prior to me meeting Lavina, my wife, who was my girlfriend, who I courted for 5 years before we actually settled down.
Right.
So I think before I met her, I was really the non-committal guy who would, probably be a damn good listener, but would have something on my mind all the time and waiting to put my point forward. So I agree with a lot.
So you were aggressive and you become passive?
Not aggressive. I don't think...
No, assertive, not necessarily aggressive.
Assertive is, yes. I think assertive is the right description.
So now I'm getting to know you better. Yeah. I remember while you were reading this, you did have a grin or some sort of a laughter or a chuckle when you were reading this particular paragraph, where you says another very funny thing I've noticed about Aquarian men is their inability to lie. And an Aquarian guy is a poor actor and can't keep a straight face while lying. And this is when you started really laughing, and I was like trying to figure out.
Well, initially I think...
Is it because you're a good actor and you can lie, or is it because I got you?
No, that's a good one. I tried to emote, so it started off trying to emote and trying to be a better reader. But honestly, I really think I'm very bad at lying. Right. I don't think I can hold forth. I'm a diplomat, so I'm able to be very diplomatic in situations, but people are able to tell immediately when I even try and hint at, not being honest. So I'm a very honest person. Very, very honest person.
Excellent. So this is a marketing book for Sajjid Mitha. Any women out there want to call him, please don't, because he's romantically in love with his wife.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Sajid, for doing this with us. Really appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.
Cheers, bro.
Aquarius, 20th January to 19th February. Aquarius Man. He's inquisitive. He's ambitious. He's energetic. He is a man who likes to know what's on your mind, but is not one to disclose what's on his. Secretive to the core, the Aquarian male is a strange combination of sociability and reserve. He has a lazy charm about him. Casual and laid back, he takes life one day at a time. But his casual attitude stops when it comes to ambition. goal-oriented and focused, nothing will stop an Aquarian from realizing his dreams. And when it comes to dating Aquarian men, girls can be sure of having a ball. The water-bearer will impress the babes with his capers and comic timing. Every time you meet an Aquarian guy, you're sure to have a good laugh. And the spectrum of emotions that he displays, like flashes of lightning, will keep you intrigued. How to identify an Aquarian man in a crowd? There are two distinct types of men under this zodiac sign. The Aquarian man falling under the first 40% is cynical, opinionated, and eccentric, and shows strong traits of aggressiveness. He is loud and boisterous and likes to strut his stuff, showing off what he bought, where he went, and the like. Most of this kind are usually full of me, myself, and I, and rarely see beyond themselves. The Aquarian man who falls under the balanced 60% is the passive type, and exactly the opposite. He knows the power of underplay. Never loud or brash, he will not brag about his material gains, even if it is a Ferrari he bought the previous day. But Aquarian men, no matter what kind, know how to make their presence felt. I strongly believe they can make very good contenders for political positions, thanks to their leadership qualities. The first type will lead the way with aggression, and the passive type will depend on their diplomacy and tact. What are the key features of his personality? Most Aquarian men I have met are full of energy. They are propelled into activities by an inner force, and this is true notwithstanding their casual attitude. I have also observed that most Aquarian men are likable people. They mingle in a crowd and make friends easily. In fact, an Aquarian man is most happy in company. He can connect with people of any age, gender, or background easily. Also, Aquarians have the unique trait of chatting up with women and end up showing more interest in them in a social gathering. Their inherent secrecy will make these traits hard to spot the first time, but if you follow the pattern over a few times, it may become obvious. An Aquarian man is also rather inquisitive by nature. He likes to analyze human nature. He wants to know more about people around him, including their personal lives. He likes it when his friends share their lives, problems, and successes with him. But when it comes to him doing the same, he recoils and shuts out others. It is this inquisitiveness that makes him a mystery lover, so much so that he looks for unlocking secrets and mysteries even where there's none. But one thing you can be sure of in your Aquarian man is that he is not selfish. You will never find him resorting to devious methods in order to gain his ends. He will always be considerate and kind towards the welfare of his fellow beings. And if there's one thing he hates, it is small-mindedness. Another very funny thing I've noticed about Aquarian men is their inability to lie. An Aquarian guy is a poor actor and can't keep a straight face while lying. He prefers confiding the truth, however bad the consequences may be. He is also very practical and spontaneous in his actions. You will hardly ever find an Aquarian on a wild goose chase. If he is after something, it will be with a specific purpose, even if it is only to satiate his curiosity. How is an Aquarius man on the following aspects? Appearance. An Aquarian man tends to have deep-set eyes and rather blunt features. Most Aquarians have unconventional looks. He will either dress up the most fashionable do or go for a totally eccentric style of dressing. That's because he dislikes being just another face in the crowd. He makes sure his clothes and appearance make a statement. Another pet peeve in Aquarian men is their comfort with colors and styles. They are likely to wear their favorite much too often. It could be a checkered shirt and blue jeans, or the most complimented colors. Ambition. For the conventional Aquarian, sky is the limit. His ambition knows no bounds. He might become overambitious and relentless in his drive to achieve and succeed. The passive kind too is ambitious, but can strike a balance between his work and personal life and will devote as much time at achieving things as he would to himself and his family. Ego, self-respect. I find Aquarian men most interesting on this aspect. They either demand respect or command it. One way or the other, they think it's their birthright. The passive kind may like to earn his respect. The conventional kind usually takes it for granted. However, both are terribly egoistic. Although the mellow Aquarian may show humility at times, his ego too is not far from the surface. Responsibility. Here is a man who has the knack of overcommitting himself. This can be attributed to his overambitiousness. He wants to achieve too many things in too short a time. A family-oriented Aquarian considers himself responsible only towards his family. The rest of the world, including friends and acquaintances, are met with a casual attitude. Etiquette. Unless you come across an Aquarian male who holds a responsible and dominating position like that of a lawyer or CEO of a company, you will find him quite relaxed on finer details of etiquette. What is his approach towards life? Undaunted and relentless, the conventional Aquarian will not rest till he has achieved what he has set out for. And after that, he will have something else lined up for tomorrow. The passive Aquarian enjoys good living and manages to achieve a high-quality lifestyle for himself. How does an Aquarius man score on the following points? Cynicism. Overall, all Aquarian men are cynical. While 50% of them are possibly born hardcore cynics, the rest of them turn into cynics due to their stubbornness. Suspicion, jealousy. If there's one man who is constantly looking around with hooded, penetrating eyes, it is undoubtedly an Aquarian. Almost 90% of them are suspicious by nature, and this is not limited just to their girlfriends or spouses, but to everyone, from colleagues at work to people generally around them. Beware of this trait if you are dating an Aquarian. He will constantly stalk you with his presence, either through text messages or through phone calls. A part of his mind will forever be following your movements and marking any deviation in your behavior. But once secure, as in a committed relationship, he will give as much space to his partner as he wants for himself. But any display of jealousy from his girlfriend or wife will not be taken lightly. He hates when his partner gets jealous. For him, it shows lack of faith in him and his love. Trust is an emotion he takes very seriously. If he has bestowed it on you, he expects you to do the same. Dishonesty, infidelity. I have observed that 3 out of every 10 Aquarian men are sincere, loyal, and dependable. Once they make long-term commitments, they try their best to remain faithful to that relationship. Since an Aquarian man appreciates open-mindedness, he is not one to take dishonesty or infidelity lying down. Hardships. Here again, the difference between the conventional and passive kinds becomes starkly obvious. The conventional Aquarian male will take hardships in his stride. The passive Aquarian can't take hardships well. He will crib to the high heavens, as is likely to fall into a long monologue title, "Why is this happening to me?" Success and failure. A conventional Aquarian is quite vocal about his success, whereas the passive Aquarian is as subtle about his success as he is loud about his setbacks. The conventional Aquarian male is also capable of taking failure in good spirit and rise from it. But for the passive kind, failure can make quite a wimp of the man. Host. The conventional Aquarian male prefers doing things in style and formality, which includes dinner accompanied by fine wine and concluding with cigars. Also at his parties, he will make sure there's something in the works to stun people. The passive Aquarian man is quite the contrary. Casual and informal, he would welcome you directly to his kitchen, and thereafter to help yourself. Guest. As a guest, both kinds of Aquarian men will put on finer etiquette only while dealing from a responsible position. Otherwise, they would prefer being casual and rather informal. How does he handle a difficult situation? This is a tricky one. Here, the 2 categories of Aquarian men display characteristic differences, and yet at the core of it, they remain similar. For instance, the conventional Aquarian will be like a blazing volcano in a difficult situation. He will be bubbling with lava, leaving no space for arguments or opinions. It is best to let him be in such a situation. Any inroads into his good books should be made only after he has cooled off his heels. The passive Aquarian will come across as the most attentive listener in case you are pleading your case before him. He would listen, and then go ahead and do exactly what suits him. To put it briefly, he's just pretending to listen to you, while actually strengthening his stubbornness within. Stuffed cotton, this man. What is his characteristic weakness? The Aquarian male's inability to commit easily often works against him. Be it in love relationships or professional liaisons, his hesitation to commit makes him come across as disinterested and at times even unreliable. Unwilling to conform to common decorum just because he wants to be different can also cost him dearly. His eccentric ways make him lose out on many a friend who find his inert, guarded behavior too much to handle. Is there more to his persona? Aquarian men, like their female counterparts, make great show of self-confidence. They like to go on a talking spree about things they know nothing about. They project the image of being master of all trades, while in reality they're neither master nor jacks. They cover up lack of knowledge and confidence by excessively exercising their tongues. An Aquarian man hates to be tied down. Pushing him to do what he is not ready to do yet is a sure way of losing him. He dislikes being controlled and would do as he pleases, whatever the repercussions. He will take up responsibilities only as and when they suit him. If duties are imposed on him, he will find a way to wriggle out of them or throw tantrums to show his disapproval. This trait makes him a difficult child too. No parent would know how to teach responsible behavior to an Aquarian boy. So who can? Only life can be his teacher, and trust me, he can't have a better one. Both kinds of Aquarian men are extremely emotional and tend to be vocal about their emotions too. The passive kind is a backpacker and ever ready to go. This can be attributed to his need for constant change. He likes moving from one pasture to another, sometimes for no better reason than change in scenery. You will rarely find an Aquarian who likes to stay put for long or enjoy the composed state of things. There is a peculiar trait that Aquarians display that I am at a loss for words to describe. An Aquarian takes mood swings to a totally different level. You will find him going from witty to wacko in a second. And the funny part is, this isn't exactly a mood swing. It is calculated change which springs from his incorrigible habit for trying to topple the boat. His purpose is to surprise you out of your wits, and he won't do this just to prove himself. He will also implicitly believe in what he is doing. I am yet to meet an Aquarian who doesn't want to be the leader of the pack. Here is a man who wants to be first at everything, at work, in love, in social circles, et al. If he is named the best employee in his office, he will be on cloud 9, and if he happens to be your first boyfriend, lady, you couldn't have asked for a better Romeo. How should one deal effectively with an Aquarius man? Given his stubborn nature and ambitiousness, my observations tell me that the most effective way of dealing with a conventional Aquarian is with submissiveness and extreme patience. If you can win his heart with love and care, you will have a man who's a true blue for life. And if you plan to marry him, remember he would prefer you to be a homemaker, as he believes that's a role that's tailor-made for women. The best way to deal with the passive Aquarians is to be as casual as they are, or be one up on them. If you let them have the upper hand, the casualness is likely to go beyond limits. Overall, in relationships, Aquarian men have one motto: they should have their way. While dealing with an Aquarian male for business, it is best to be clear about the terms and conditions at the outset, as it can get difficult to make him shell out money later. He will drive a hard bargain too, so watch out for this one. An Aquarian guy dislikes people who are pessimistic and wet blankets. He prefers the company of those who are as happy-go-lucky and friendly as he is. And lastly, the one thing that impresses him more than anything else is brains. Be it man or woman, an Aquarian will befriend anyone who is brainy and knows how to make intelligent conversation. How does he handle money matters? An Aquarian and his money are not easily parted, period. The passive Aquarians are careful spenders and will be very selective in what they buy and where they put their money. Although semi-materialistic, the conventional Aquarian is flamboyant in his spending, but he knows his limits too. Both kinds also prefer partners who are not extravagant with money and are as understanding of money matters as with the matters of heart. One thing, however, hazardous with an Aquarian and his money is his fondness for gambling, so keep him away from casinos. Having said that, I would like to share my experience with a unique Aquarian client come friend who entrusted me with a makeover, interiors, of his property. Even after 1 year of completion, he was not interested in the account of the expenses made. The amount ran into almost 3 million rupees. He paid in full, every time, on due date, and each time I prompted him to sit and run through the account, he was happy just not getting into it, and totally trusted me. I guess these types of incidents and many others do prove that there are exceptions. How is he on the professional front? The innate inquisitiveness of an Aquarian man helps him establish rapport with people at work, as he has come across as someone who is a good listener. This also makes him an excellent candidate for jobs requiring investigative work. However, he does tend to go overboard at times, leading others to believe that he is more interested in hearing their story for his own personal interests. Most helpful and eager to share information, the Aquarian makes a great co-worker, dependable and fun to be with. How is he in various relationship roles? As a son, an Aquarian male will come across as relaxed and rather too easygoing. While he won't be irresponsible at home, he won't take up responsibility unless forced to. An Aquarian son will prefer being out of home with friends or girlfriends and is quite independent and capable of looking after himself. Be rest assured that after his day-long meanderings, he will come home knocking at dinner time. An Aquarian male sibling can exhibit signs of competitiveness, but this is in a harmless sort of way, as he is very sure of himself and feels no threat from his siblings. As a husband, he is very demanding. Like I had mentioned before, he wants a spouse who is a good homemaker, a good wife, and a good mother. That's because he wants her to be around him constantly. He's especially demanding of her attention, even at the expense of his children. But he makes for a loving and caring husband. He will remain devoted to his wife and family. An Aquarian man's children will enjoy all the luxuries of a magic land. Not materialistically, but imaginatively. He will encourage them to think beyond the senses of sight, sound, and touch. Being a good listener, he makes for an attentive father and a good teacher. But I think an Aquarian excels in the role of a friend. He attaches great value to friendship and treats it as a starting point for all relationships. But on second thoughts, his secret nature makes more acquaintances than friends. His actual friends are few. An Aquarian likes to maintain cordial relationship with everyone. So you will find him often overcoming his anger or ego to patch up quarrels at home or disagreements between friends. How is he when alone? Not one to indulge in solo projects, our Aquarian can often be found taking part in some wacky activity in the midst of a group of onlookers. How is he when in love? Very, very slow and calculative. That is not to say he is manipulative, but he likes to make his moves stealthily and with caution. Don't take this as shyness or quietness. This man is only analyzing you before making his move. As a lover, he is also full of surprises. He will woo you with the most unthinkable ideas and lure you into the most daring terrains. Be sure you fall in step with his ideas of honesty and commitment. Otherwise, his romance will take an instant U-turn. Only if he is totally in love will he open up and lay bare his secrets. While in a relationship with him, you should have the tact to draw him out of his reserve and see the man he truly is, underneath his strong facade of friendliness. Another quality he appreciates in his love interest is the ability to understand him and give him the warmth and care he requires. He looks for a friend in his partner, someone with whom he can share anything and everything. If an Aquarian moves at a tortoise's speed when in love, he will turn into a snail when it comes to commitment. Usually Aquarians are prone to settling late in life, so stop admiring that solitaire ring in the jewelry window. Your Aquarian boyfriend will bolt at the first mention of a proposal. He will marry and have a family, but in his own good time. What does he look for in his partner? Most importantly, an outlook to take things easy. He wants someone who gives him space, yet maintains enough charisma to hold his interest, so that he is encouraged to take the next step. Rush him, and you've lost him forever. Being a very positive person, he abhors women who are whiny and instead appreciates women who are smart and bold. A woman who is feminine in every way, but is also independent-minded, is one that's perfect for an Aquarian man. While dating him, you should treat your date like a mystery novel. The more you intrigue him, the more he will be enticed. Nothing delights an Aquarian guy more than unraveling mysteries or unlocking deep secrets. He will probe into your innermost thoughts and desires, making you feel like you're the one for him. But hold on, that's just his nature. He would do that to any other person. Whether the relationship between you two would reach the next level depends on how long you are able to sustain his interest. Another word of advice: this man is not a conventional lover. So what should be expected of him? Reciting poems? No. Expensive gifts? No. Romantic escapades, maybe? No. The answer is a good time. He can be funny, entertaining, romantic, and protective in his own unique way. He can make you smile, laugh, blush, and say yes to all his ideas. That's the power of his presence. You will be floored by the innovative ways he thinks of wooing you, and the unconventional ideas he follows to prove his love. When he comes to pick you up for a date, his heart is full of warm, friendly feelings. He is looking for a long chat with you over a couple of drinks and dinner. And after he drops you off at your doorstep, and at this precise moment there would be some hesitation over the goodnight kiss, your Aquarian date will be planning another friendly chat with you for the next weekend. That's how he's programmed, to forge a friendship before falling in love. Physical intimacy makes some Aquarian guys slightly uncomfortable. He's wary of taking the next step in dating. It's difficult to gauge whether he's scared of commitments or unsure of his own self. If you're truly interested in him, you will have to gently draw him out and talk about getting into a relationship. Otherwise, your charming water-bearer will keep smugly dressing up for another platonic date with you. And now for the don'ts when dating an Aquarian guy. Don't bother to play any games. He hates deception and roundabout way with words. Be as straightforward as you can and be steady on your words. He likes a woman who can hold her ground, and yet be smart enough to know when to give in. He admires independence in a woman and appreciates intelligence. He won't stand on ceremony with you, so better get used to his wacky ways. If there is any pulling up of chairs or lugging shopping bags to be done, better do it yourself. I'm not implying that he is ungentlemanly. It's just that he prefers women who know how to account for themselves. Just in case things don't work out with him, here's his last rejoinder. Can we at least be friends? Compatibility quotient. The easygoing Aquarian is everybody's friend. He stresses a lot on building networks and being friendly with everyone. But when it comes to compatibility, one has to probe deeper into his psyche. What exactly does it mean for Aquarian men and women from other signs? Let's find out. Aquarian man and Aries woman. 7 on 10. Between these two, it is a wait-and-watch game. While each may admire the other's positive attributes, there would be small differences to contend with. But with a little bit of patience, they can hit a home run. Taurus woman. 6 on 10. This relationship is somewhere in the middle. He can give her a lesson or two on how to have some fun, and she can mellow down his bizarre nature. If they go slow on their innate obstinacy, both have plenty of it, this can be a good combination. Gemini woman. 8 on 10. adventurous, spontaneous, and nonconformist. Who am I talking about? Both. They share each other's prominent traits, and therefore this relationship is likely to bring the house down. Cancer woman, 3 on 10. A risky affair. Both are placed on opposite poles. He is too friendly and easygoing to fit into her intense and serious nature, and she is too emotionally dependent to meet his intellectual requirements. Leo woman, 7 on 10. This relationship can be anything but boring. Filled with his unconventional behavior and her powerful charm, their union can bring in a lot of crazy moments. But for a fruitful relationship, they would need to work hard on understanding each other. Virgo woman, 6 on 10. Initial attraction and a lot of misunderstanding later. That's the briefest description of a Virgo-Aquarian combination. Things can work out between the two if they quit trying to improve the other. Libra woman, 9 on 10. A match well made. There's an evenness of attributes in this case. His adventurous spirit is balanced by her practicality, and her intellectual mind is balanced by his impulsiveness. Scorpio woman, 7.5 on 10. A little hard work is required here. The emotional disparity will madden them and might make it difficult for them to tolerate each other. A long-term relationship may wear them thin and suck out all the charm from their stimulating conversations. If the Scorpio is or can be submissive and graceful throughout, this combo could really work well. Sagittarius woman, 9.5 on 10. This one's the icing on the cake. Filled with passion, romance, and limited emotions, this relationship will work wonders for both. The independent spirit in both will only bring them closer. Capricorn woman, 7 on 10. A sustainable relationship that's more likely to succeed as friendship rather than a romantic affair. If these two are thrown in together over a long-drawn affair, they're likely to get tired of each other. Aquarius woman, 5 on 10. With his Aquarian counterpart, his relationship will be totally without ardor or depth. Since both live life on the surface, they will miss out on the deeper meaning of love and romance. Although their chemistry will be good, long-term compatibility is a question mark. Pisces woman, 5 on 10. Both are too dissimilar to walk a common path. His love for adventure and fun-filled lifestyle will not go well with her serious and spiritual bent of mind. He, in turn, will find her too clingy and emotionally needy. Famous Aquarian men personalities: Abhishek Bachchan, Abraham Lincoln, Ashton Kutcher, Jackie Shroff.